Welcome to the deep dive. We get straight to the heart of things, giving you that core knowledge fast
And thoroughly.
and thoroughly. Today, it's all about sustainable homestead gardening.
Right.
Whether you're maybe just dreaming of your first herbs or, you're already gardening but want to make things more self-sufficient.
Our goal here is pretty simple, really,
Yeah, we want to pull out the absolute best bits from the sources we looked at.
and give you a clear path, hopefully an inspiring one, towards, well, growing your own food in a way that's better for the environment and makes you a bit more independent.
It's amazing how much info is out there, isn't it?
It really is. And for you listening, we're trying to help make sense of it all.
So sustainable homestead gardening, it's basically about creating a relationship, right? A balance with nature where you live.
Exactly. Could be a big yard, could be just a windowsill. It's about that supportive connection.
And yeah, those fresh flavors are great, definitely a perk.
Oh, for sure.
But what really came through in the articles is that it's like a whole system you're building.
Yes.
An ecosystem.
Right. So enjoying your own food, yes,
Yeah.
but also actively making your soil better.
And cutting down waste. Big time.
Imagine needing the supermarket less.
Right.
Feeling that real link to your food, from the seed all the way to your plate.
It's a powerful feeling.
Okay, so how do we actually build this kind of thriving system?
Well, one thing that's really clear is that you need to think ahead. It's not just scattering seeds and, hoping.
Especially if you want it to last and
Yeah.
be low impact.
Right, planning. It sounds maybe a bit boring, but it's absolutely fundamental.
And the sources really hammer this home for anyone feeling a bit overwhelmed at the start.
Which is understandable.
Yeah. There are some great free tools. We saw mentions of things like 10 free garden planners for beginner gardeners. It helps create that blueprint, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't become chaos.
Mm-hmm. And even if you've gardened before, that piece, How to Plan a Garden for 2025, really stressed that a good season starts before you plant anything, like way before.
So it makes you ask, what do you actually want from your garden? Exactly. What are your goals? The Gardening Goals article talked about setting smart objectives and thinking strategically about your space, how to get the most out of it.
Getting the biggest harvest possible from what you have.
Yeah, being intentional, efficient.
Okay, so planning is step one. Now, thinking about timing. Most of us think gardening in summer, right?
That's the common idea, yeah.
But the sources we read, they really challenge that. And this is where it gets pretty interesting. The growing doesn't have to stop just because summer's over.
Not at all. The articles on fall planting, what to know about planting a garden in the fall, and the one asking what you can still grow, they show huge benefits.
Like what?
Well, obviously extending your harvest, getting more food later in the year, but also often healthier plants, fewer pests sometimes.
Oh, interesting.
And it can give you a real head start for the next spring. It's thinking about the whole year as a cycle.
A continuous cycle, yeah. And if you want to keep things going when it gets colder, but maybe on a budget.
Cold frames?
Right. Cold frame gardening. 5 frugal DIY ideas. Shows you how to build simple structures to protect plants and extend that season without spending a lot.
Very resourceful.
Yeah.
And it's crucial to remember, this whole sustainable homestead idea, it's not just for people with big yards.
Absolutely not. If you've got limited space or maybe no outdoor space at all.
There are fantastic indoor options.
Yeah. Imagine having fresh greens all year round right in your kitchen. We saw how to grow microgreens in a jar at home. Seems pretty simple.
Just a jar, seeds, water, light, super easy.
And even faster results with sprouts, right? How to grow sprouts at home. That looks really straightforward, too.
What's amazing is how adaptable it is.
Yeah.
I mean, the materials we looked at even covered growing black beans indoors.
Black beans.
Inside. Yeah. And potatoes, too. How to grow potatoes indoors. So it really opens up possibilities for staple foods, even if you're limited by space or season.
Wow. And if you do have a small outdoor space, like a patio or balcony,
Vertical gardening.
go up, grow up. Vertical gardening tips for foodies. Get a lot of food in a small footprint.
Very clever. And herbs indoors, always a winner. 7 best herbs for indoor gardens. Fresh flavor right there.
So convenient. Okay, let's talk about resourcefulness. Sustainability often means making the most of what you have, right? Reducing waste.
Definitely. And that often means it can be pretty budget-friendly, too, if you approach it that way.
Like growing food from kitchen scraps. How to grow food from scraps. Fascinating stuff. Turning waste into food.
It really is. And composting, of course. Making amazing soil.
Ah, yes. How to hot compost. Turning kitchen scraps, yard waste, into that rich, fertile black gold for your plants?
Hot composting is great because the heat speeds things up and helps kill off weed seeds and pathogens. It's like a turbocharged composting, a little natural fertilizer factory.
Nice. And thinking really long-term, saving seeds.
Oh, absolutely. How to save tomato seeds to plant for next year. A brilliant skill for self-sufficiency. You get varieties you like year after year, no need to buy new seeds.
Okay, but gardens aren't always perfect, right? Challenges pop up. Pests, for example. Deer seem to be a big one for many people.
Always hungry. But you don't necessarily need giant, expensive fences.
Right. The Deer-Proof Garden article had strategies, ways to deter them without building Fort Knox around your veggies.
Smart, sustainable solutions. And then there's harvesting. You put in all this work.
Months of effort.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure you actually get the best out of it. 5 vegetable garden harvesting mistakes pointed out some common slip-ups.
Things that can ruin the taste or reduce your yield.
Yeah, simple things to avoid so you really get to enjoy the fruits or vegetables of your labor.
So, when we step back and look at all this, these individual gardening efforts, they kind of connect to something bigger, don't they?
The sources like an off-grid life and homestead gardening touch on that. Self-reliance, a deeper connection to food.
Even just basic backyard gardening, like in Backyard Gardening Basics, can make a real difference. Feeding your family, cutting grocery bills.
And think about the idea of a kitchen garden. How practical is that?
Just steps from your door, fresh herbs, salad greens.
Makes cooking easier, fresher, and again, it deepens that connection. And it all starts with good foundations, right? Like choosing the right seeds.
Organic seeds. 5 things to know about growing organic seeds. Why that matters for a healthy, resilient garden.
Right from the start.
Okay, so you've grown all this amazing food. Now what? Growing it is only half the battle, isn't it?
True. Storing the harvest is key.
Especially if you don't have, like, a traditional root cellar. How to store your harvest without a root cellar had some smart tricks.
Clever ways to preserve your bounty using what you have. And for those of you listening in colder areas.
Yeah, gardening up north presents its own challenges.
Definitely. Gardening in a cold climate. 6 tips for northern gardeners offered some specific approaches for success in those tough conditions.
So wrapping this all up, this deep dive, what are the main takeaways?
Well, I think it boils down to a few key things. Sustainable homestead gardening, it's really a whole approach. It emphasizes careful planning, first off.
Right, thinking ahead.
Then, extending your growing season, using fall planting, maybe cold frames, definitely indoor options.
Don't just think summer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And being super resourceful. Composting, using scraps, saving seeds, making the most of everything.
Waste not, want not, basically.
Pretty much. Protecting your harvest, too. Smart ways to deal with pests and harvest correctly.
And finally, understanding that bigger picture. Self-reliance, connecting with your food source.
It's all interconnected.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you, our listener. Just consider this. How might bringing just 1 or 2 of these sustainable practices into your life, how might that change your relationship with food, your connection to the natural world? What's one small step, one manageable thing you could maybe try today to start your own deeper dive into sustainable gardening?